It's hard to believe that this is the very first ride of 2025, but it is. I would have had a lot more rides sooner, but the winter cold and the biggest snowstorm in this region since the 1960s struck southeast Texas as a result from Snowstorm Enzo. As part of a region that doesn't see snow very often, it was truly amazing to see that all of this road and grass that you see in front of you was buried under 3 to 4 inches of snow. This ride takes place approximately 10 days since the blizzard snow-capped all of southeast Texas and many places along the Gulf Coast, including parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and all the way down to the Sunshine State of Florida. But now we are riding on this beautiful sun-filled day at a crisp and cool 63 degrees. You could not ask for a better day of riding. We're on our way up to Cowboy Harley-Davidson so I can ask them a few questions about my bike and about a few other things that I might need to know for future repairs and or maintenance. At the start of this new year, the Highway 69, Highway 73 interchange has made significant progress in its construction. And even though it still has quite a ways to go, it is real easy to see once we get up here what the design is going to look like when it is all said and done. As with all construction zones, you always want to proceed through with caution because you just never know when some hazards are going to trip you up. The construction is not only taking place in the immediate interchange area, but it turns out that they are also working on the highway going into and coming out of this very interchange system. And with that, this particular on-ramp was particularly short, to the point that I didn't even see those bases for the cones. I had to swerve around them as I changed into the correct lane to avoid the construction work. Not really the best thing to see nor navigate through. Fortunately, my quick eyes and quick thinking was able to make it through A-OK. But that is exactly why they always train you to look 12 to 15 seconds ahead so that you can avoid obstacles and look for exit routes so you can avoid any kind of calamity. Another bit of maintenance that you need to keep in mind of, that after your vehicle has suffered through an ice storm or a blizzard or any kind of extreme cold weather, it might be a bit hard for your engine to turn over and start if your battery is not properly maintained or fresh. With that in mind, when I first tried to start this vehicle after the blizzard, it was a little bit hard to turn over, but eventually it did. It was just really hard for the battery to power through and start up the engine. It's always a good idea to change your vehicle's batteries every couple of years or so, give or take how much you use it. Batteries can't hold a charge, but the older they get, the harder it is for the battery to hold a charge to start your engine. So please, regularly service your vehicle and your bike and make sure that the battery is still fresh and therefore powerful enough to start your engine. It's moments like this where I kind of wish to some extent that my bike had the old-fashioned kickstart. That little pedal where you kick down upon it and it turns the engine over for you to start it. That way, I would not have to rely on the battery to start my bike. It's old school, but like everybody says, there truly is no school like the old school. As we are passing by Central Mall, I noticed that a lot of the grass that is normally green has turned a little brown, which indicates to me that they had a rough going in the snow and ice from the blizzard. I know they'll grow back. You know, grass is usually a lot tougher than some other plants, especially when it comes to snowstorms and ice storms. But either way, just be mindful of that, because even in the cold, and even after a blizzard, brown grass can still wither into dust pretty quickly. So make sure you don't start any fires, and if you happen to throw out a cigarette butt, make sure it is completely extinguished before it happens to get into the grass. As you may have noticed, this road has gone through a lot of repaving recently, but as you just now see, some of it was done, but not all of it. Just another reminder that as you go through a construction zone and into another area, if pavement changes, you've got to be aware of what the surrounding changes are and adjust accordingly. If you go from a pavement that is higher in elevation to an older pavement that is lower in elevation, and if you have to switch lanes, only do so when it is absolutely necessary. Uneven pavement always poses a traction hazard, and especially at highway speeds, if your tires do not have the gripping power to handle it, a skid out may be possible. So please, tread with caution. As we are running down this very fast stretch of Highway 69, I was reminded of another safety hazard to prepare for. Cold weather does affect the air pressure in your tires. It is basic science too. Cold air means it contracts, which means the PSI in your tires will be lower. As opposed to when you start off on a hot day, the hotter it is outside, the more pressure is going to be inside your tires. Now, even in cold weather, as you go on the road and start running the roads, the tires will naturally get hot because of all the friction and work and spinning on the pavement. So eventually, yes, your tire will increase in pressure as you ride out more, but that doesn't mean you need to regularly check your tire pressure. Always check your tire pressure at least once a week. And if it feels like one of your tires is down, then obviously you need to repair it or inflate it or whatever you got to do to maintain it. And always regularly look at your spare tire and make sure that is also in good working order. Usually regulations say that tires need to be changed regardless every 10 years. That is because the rubber and other composite materials that make up the tire do wear out at that point, and at 10 years it is really not good. And no tire shop is going to maintain a tire after 10 years. They're just going to say they got to throw it away. That's regulations. So always check your spare tire, especially if you have an older vehicle. If your tire is older than 10 years, you got to get it replaced immediately. You do not want to be stuck in the middle of nowhere and have a tire blow out on you because it's just too old. As we approach the interchange between Highway 69 and Interstate Highway 10, we start seeing on the side of the street some of the materials that will be replaced underneath the terrain along this highway. The progress on this interchange is significant. Even though it may not seem that way, there are many points of this interchange that has seen improvement. But obviously it is still a ways to go before this interchange is completed and vastly improved. And if there's one annoying thing about construction that I truly don't like, it is traffic jams. And sadly, most of the times when I leave Cowboy Harley, the feeder road leading up to Washington Boulevard and eventually to the I-10 on-ramp is very slow and very annoying to get through. It takes me like 10 minutes just to get through it usually when the traffic is bad. And as I'm getting on I-10 right now, I am looking over towards I-10 to see if I can get a good read on the highway and also the feeder. And even though I can clearly see the traffic of the highway, seeing the feeder was not really that good initially. But the closer I got to see Cowboy Harley, I got to see that the feeder road was actually decently clear. So, even though I wasn't able to make it to the College Avenue exit, which is the exit to Highway 90, College Avenue is what they call it over in Beaumont, I decided to go in and take a little longer roundabout and see more of Beaumont after this blizzard had come and go. I'm just really grateful that on this day, this traffic was very manageable and very nice. As I approach to exit to the MLK Boulevard, I also look over at the train yard and I still see very significant puddles of condensation still on the ground all around the rails. I think that's another reminder of how much precipitation we got over the last week and a half. Not just with the blizzard, but we also had some rains after the blizzard too. So, needless to say, Southeast Texas is not in a drought stage at all. I don't talk about local sports figures that much, but over on the right, you'll see a small domed-like building. That is the Babe Zaharias building. Babe Zaharias is one of the most famous golfers in the world from right here in the Golden Triangle area. You can also find an exhibit about her history and her career at the Museum of the Gulf Coast in downtown Port Arthur. The only reason this off-ramp to College Avenue is so long is because it had to cross over a few railroad lines and other things. So for that, I am grateful for that kind of traffic management. As we approach our destination of Cowboy Harley-Davidson, allow me to thank you for joining me on this ride on this very beautiful day. I truly hope you enjoyed it. And just a few words about Cowboy Harley-Davidson. I have been bringing my Harley to Cowboy ever since I bought it. From the time I brought it for inspection to right now for this little visit. All my major maintenance that I couldn't do, I bring it to the professionals here at Cowboy Harley, and they have always done amazing work with really cool service. In fact, when I entered here today and I walked right through the doors, they immediately recognized me and said, "Hey, good to see you again." And it's not just because I'm a frequent visitor. It's also really cool to hang out with these guys and just say hello to them. And they also throw really great parties and get-togethers pretty much every Saturday. So you can find Cowboy Harley on Facebook and social media and many other places. And of course, they have a website where you can schedule an appointment. So for now, this is SFAPowerhouse, wishing you a very good day, and as always, enjoy the ride.